Welcome to Talk Chain, where we talk all things crypto. We finally got some green today, which is probably the best news that most of us have had all week, all month. We got market cap 457 billion, Bitcoin dominance at 34.6%, seeing that drop a little bit. Bitcoin, $9,300. Actually, I guess I should ask Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Doing
Usually I'm
great,
used to
Rob.
starting these by myself.
Yeah, good to see you today, buddy. How's your Saturday going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Putting in some time into work. And by work, I mean just refreshing coin market cap over and over again to make sure that this is not a bull trap and that we are riding this out.
Yeah, so do you want to talk about that first?
Yeah. So back into it. Bitcoin, $9,300. Ethereum, just shy of 1,000. We got some big movers today. Cardano up 24%, only at 44 cents. And I think that's kind of going off the news of Weiss upgrading its rating from B minus to B.
Mm.
Whether or not Weiss had some stake in Cardano before making that decision, it's possible.
Did you see their like note to everybody on like why they rated crypto bad because of this crash?
No, I didn't.
They wrote some arrogant note to everybody saying like this is why we gave crypto such bad ratings, why Bitcoin we gave a C, whatever, as if they like could have timed this or something. It's so ridiculous.
Really? That's so interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
anyway.
yeah, as if they could predict that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Unexpected gainer today is Litecoin. I don't know if anything happened with Litecoin, if there's any particular reason for it, but doing very well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it is doing pretty well, and I think for everybody, it's good to see this kind of stuff. Personally, I look at Bitcoin volume to see sort of whether or not a move has some power behind it and it's going to be stable. So on the Bitcoin chart, anyway, we have a decent amount of volume so far, but I'm gonna kind of wait and see how the day ends up. But today we've got a pretty green candle. The volume right now is about half of yesterday so far. And if we look at the hourly chart, the volume is kind of weaker than yesterday overall. So personally, I'm weary that we're actually gonna bounce off here and sort of break those resistance lines that we've had or that we have set up in this bearish move down. So gonna wait and see, but I'm not convinced necessarily that this is the bullish move up that we've been all waiting for.
do you think that the volume has anything to do with like the day of the week, or is it pretty consistent throughout?
It all depends. So it has nothing to do really with the day of the week. Personally, I think it's just the conviction in the trend. So if you see a big spike in volume as a trend is going a certain way, and that volume continues to maintain, you're likely to continue to see that trend. But if
Okay.
the volume goes down as the trend continues, it's indicative of a reversal. But, these are all kind of just ideas that you need to keep in mind when you're making any trade. So, just given that this pop that we've seen isn't gigantic and the volume is still we're we're like kind of maintaining the volume that we have, it just seems like we're doing like some sort of trend continuation right now, not necessarily a reversal.
Okay, yeah, I guess it remains to be seen, but hopefully within the next couple of days it'll be sorted out, or couple of weeks. Other one other minor, pretty big news actually, but VeChain has had a partnership with the Chinese government, which is big news for them. So that is why they are doing pretty well today, up 21%.
Yeah,
Um,
and I still think VE chain is a buy. If I had free money right now, I would definitely be putting more into VE chain just because they've been a consistent project that's continued to gain partnerships and deliver on their timeline.
yeah, they've been doing pretty well. It seems like they have a new partnership every other day or so. It'll be interesting to see some real use cases, some things come into effect to kind of verify what they've been talking about, and some more hype aside from partnerships.
Yeah, I noticed Tron's up about 20%. You got any reason for that?
No reason for Tron being up 20%. I know we got Justin Sun out there hyping up the fact that they've got 100 staff members now, which is pretty impressive. I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, just like most of the things Justin Sun says. But but, good for Tron. They're doing pretty well. No, it seems to be the teens like a 15% seems to be kind of like the average of where everything is right now. Yeah, it's I think really the Tron thing is again the fact that it's such a low price to enter into it makes the highs higher and the lows lower than the traditional or more well established cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on Tron.
No,
It's whatever. But
no, definitely not.
so I wanted
Um,
I wanted to mention though that yesterday we talked about how Binance had a 1% or a 1 nano fee to withdraw, and they actually lowered that today to zero point 0.1. So it's not so bad now if you want to withdraw your nano to a wallet, a desktop wallet or a hardware wallet.
Yeah, definitely. That's a 99% reduction. So it's definitely good for Binance. And it's good to see that they're either listening to the community or have fixed a mistake that they made.
I'd like to think that it was our video calling them out that really led to the drop in withdrawal fee.
That's a good point. Between that and Icon inviting us, but it getting lost in the mail, it looks like we're really making a big impact on the community so far.
Hmm.
So I'm pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, definitely. Icon sitting very, very much lower than.
Icon has collapsed completely. The problem is, I think everyone expected Icon to have a partnership with Samsung,
Right,
and it just did not. So we'll
right.
wait for those Kia Samsung partnerships in the near future.
You haven't sold though, right?
I definitely have not sold.
Yeah, I
I
haven't sold
can
anything
never
either.
sell now.
What?
I can never sell.
Right, just holding forever. All right. So why
Yeah,
don't we get into this New York Times article, Bob? You want to set it up?
sure, definitely. A crypto utopia in Puerto Rico. So, for those who don't know, no there are no taxes on income, and there are no taxes on capital gains.
Personal, right? Personal taxes.
Yeah, yeah, personal taxes, which is big news for crypto, especially for Americans when people are being taxed from crypto to crypto. So that's a big reason why Puerto Rico was chosen for this. Obviously, it's also a beautiful place to live, um, and there's also the implication of the hurricane that recently struck and kind of devastated the community. Kind of left Puerto Rico in a position to be kind of built up.
Yes.
So so
So
what's
they're
happened?
seeing a bunch of influx of people who are trying to start uh, ICOs and start different cryptocurrency projects in Puerto Rico, right? So this is the whole story, this New York Times story that's talking about all these people that are moving from the continental United States to Puerto Rico for these different reasons. And yeah, it's interesting because the state itself is categorically bankrupt still. I was looking a little bit. I don't know if you saw this, but so before the hurricane, $72 billion in debt, and to rebuild the territory, another almost $100 billion.
Wow, that's devastating. And no, yeah, no backing from the president on that one either, right?
I don't know. They're doing some like restructuring thing. I think it's still sort of in the works on how all of that drama is going to go. But given that so many people you are interested in moving to Puerto Rico for this tax haven, I I worry that the territory may need to raise some money somehow in order to pay these debts, or in the restructuring, they might have some terms on how Puerto Rico is going to try to actually raise money to pay off some of this debt. But it hasn't really dissuaded people to move there. And we definitely see this in terms of the number of wealthy crypto investors and developers who are moving there to take advantage of these tax incentives.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So the economy that they're looking to build will be entirely blockchain based. So um, the money will be like a digital currency. So either Bitcoin, Litecoin, Roblox, all those sorts. Um, and all the contracts will be public, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue to develop and like whether or not things like the E-chain and Walton will be implemented because I know that they're interested in building smart cities. So, and like how much of a factor will they play into it? Because right now it kind of seems like there hasn't been a whole lot built just based on this New York Times article. They're all just kind of hanging out in these empty buildings that they have bought and they're kind of hanging out on the roof. The water's not necessarily working yet, but they seem to be coming up with some sort of grand master plan to bring in some more people.
Yeah, yeah, and it could definitely really it'd be a good case study for how crypto could actually be incorporated into different services that are provided. I don't know how much of the I mean they're going to have to work on getting partnerships with these different ICOs, but if the city and they seem willing, if the city's willing to work with these different companies to make their infrastructure better, it would be really it's going to be exciting to see how crypto can be intertwined into basic services and things like that.
Yeah, well, including um, things like even services like restaurants and like coffee shops, everything's going to have to be built. So they're going to need people who aren't crypto millionaires to actually get involved in this because they'll need people to work just regular jobs and do regular things, even if it's all on the blockchain.
Hmm.
So even though it's right now it's kind of just full of crypto billionaires and crypto millionaires, it's going to have to extend out to kind of anybody who wants to be part of this like future crypto community.
Yeah, and it's a good example of why countries and states should really consider their tax rate when they make decisions and policy decisions because this is a prime example of tax incentives really determining whether or not you get an influx of money or not into a state, and whether or not Puerto Rico is on the too far on the right in terms of their tax rate just way too low for them to be sustainable. That's gonna sort of we're gonna see how that unfolds when it comes to their debt restructuring, but uh, California is gonna definitely lose people to these sorts of different states or different territories that have a much lower tax rate when they're trying to start these new projects.
Yeah, and that's like it's kind of just the way that it's always been, right? So companies will move from the United States to Mexico or Canada to Mexico or from North anywhere in North America to China, anywhere with a lower tax rate, they're going to move there. So um, it's good to build up those communities. But I did want to talk about Brock Pierce, who seems to be the person leading it. So
Is that the vest
uh,
guy?
that yeah, so that's the dude in the leather vest and the interesting hat choice. It's I don't know. I aside from his personal fashion style, he does have enough money to give zero Fs about what he's doing because really it seems like he's doing pretty well for himself. So he co-founded Block One, which is a blockchain for business startup. So they've sold around 200 million for their own virtual cryptocurrency, and yeah, it seems to be that they're doing pretty well for himself. Weird, it's strange. This guy's led an interesting life. Former child actor, got into digital money early as a professional gamer, mining gold in the World of Warcraft, which was backed by Steve Bannon. So I don't know how this guy's lived this weird life so far, but it seems to that he's mildly successful in a decent amount of the things that he's done, and this just looks like the next step in something that he wants to do, despite his somewhat weird behavior in the New York Times article.
Yeah, Yeah, so I think it's indicative of there's actual talent moving here. It's not just these clowns with a bunch of money who like to jump on the next pump moving to Puerto Rico. It's actual people who want to start projects. So it definitely looks positive for the future of crypto in this space, assuming that the taxes stay where they are in the long term.
Definitely. And it's also admirable that he's looking to create like a charitable token called One. So with like $1 billion of his own money, um, to kind of help out, to contribute, to give back to society. So it's not really just like a selfish move on his part.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't really give a shit about that. Like, whether it's selfish or not, everybody's sort of self-interested. But it's nice that he's doing something good for the community as well as doing his own capitalistic, selfish goals.
Well, he's doing more than you would probably do if you were in a similar circumstance, by the sounds of things.
Well, I mean, if he's going to create a product that helps people, and whether it's for capitalism or for a charity, I don't think it really matters. If he's going to make a good product that's going to help people, and it's not for charity, I don't think you should judge somebody based on that.
No, but it's just nice that he's choosing to do it instead of just
It's nice,
throwing it in his strip club.
right? Because that's the only other alternative.
Yeah, we've got giving food to the poor and making girls dance for dollar bills or guys dance for dollar bills.
Right,
It's one or the other.
right. Okay. Yeah, it's good though. So investment in Puerto Rico, everybody should consider moving there. At least if you're American. I think it'll be hard for. I don't know if you can move there, Rob.
I think they kind of prefer having not non-Americans, but people who aren't um, from there. I feel like they kind of support immigration.
Yeah, but I guess if they're U.S. territory, I don't know how strict they have to be in terms of following the U.S. federal law in terms of immigration. But
Well, thankfully, Trump doesn't give a crap about the Puerto Rican people or anything about Puerto Rico. So it's not like they're going to enforce the immigration laws there.
sure, I guess we'll save federal immigration policy for another podcast.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna leave it there. Uh, like, subscribe, or comment. Let us know what you think about Puerto Rico, or whether or not you think that this dip is a bull trap, and whether we're gonna see some more downside. Find us on iTunes Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, or Pocket Casts, or Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. And yeah, follow us at Twitter at TalkChainPod.
Share on Reddit, share on Facebook. Classic.
Yes, awesome. And with that,
Cool.
we'll see you next time.
Take care.